Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a completely hidden ecosystem of software companies that you have probably never ever heard of. But here's the thing, they quietly hold immense power over our daily lives. We're going to explore how the AI revolution isn't just crowning massive tech giants anymore. It's actually paving the way for tiny, hyper-specialized teams to build these entirely unseen empires. So, let's start with a bit of a mystery. When we think of successful tech companies, we usually picture those massive consumer apps, right? The ones with celebrity founders and huge marketing budgets. But what if the most powerful software companies of the AI era operate entirely in the shadows? No viral marketing, zero public attention, and yet thousands and thousands of businesses depend on their code every single day just to keep the lights on. We are talking about the foundational pillars of our economy. Think about accounting firms tracking complex finances or property managers handling vast, multi-city portfolios. Think about law offices processing endless sensitive documents, logistics companies routing massive global shipments, and medical practices managing critical patient care. Entire industries rely on these small, hyper-specialized teams every single day for their core operations. This software isn't flashy, but is literally the invisible beating heart of these businesses.
And that brings us to exactly what we call ghost SaaS. These are small, highly specialized software-as-a-service businesses operating entirely out of the spotlight, deep inside narrow markets. They are practically ghosts to the general public, but absolute heavyweights in their specific domains. And what's really fascinating right now is that artificial intelligence is making this exact hidden business model more powerful than ever before.
Section 1. The AI Software Flood, the Evolution of Code. To really understand why this ghost SaaS boom is happening right now, we have to look at how the economics of building software have drastically changed. Decades ago, creating software was incredibly expensive. You needed armies of programmers, designers, heavy infrastructure, rigorous testing. It was a massive barrier to entry. If you didn't have heavy venture funding, you were simply locked out. But then, things shifted. In the 2000s, cloud computing and APIs made infrastructure way easier to access. In the 2010s, low-code tools emerged, making development much more accessible. And today? Today we have AI acceleration. AI helps developers write code, analyze information, and automate repetitive tasks at lightning speed. That old barrier to entry hasn't just been lowered, it has practically collapsed. But here is the kicker, and it's a crucial point. If AI helps you build faster, well, it also helps your competitors build faster. When software becomes this incredibly easy to create, it also becomes incredibly easy to copy. Simply having a cool AI feature just isn't enough to make a business successful anymore. You need a much, much deeper reason for customers to choose you.
Because when millions of people suddenly get access to these powerful tools, entrepreneurs flood the market. All of a sudden, you don't just have one meeting assistant, you have hundreds. You don't have one AI copywriter, you have thousands. At first, it looks like a gold rush. But gold rushes create absolutely brutal competition. If 1,000 companies can build the exact same chatbot over a weekend, the basic technology itself stops being special. Pricing plummets to zero. That is the AI software flood.
Section 2. The Power of Going Niche, the Pivot to Strategy. So how do you actually survive a massive flood of cheap, easy-to-copy software? Well, you change the game. You stop competing purely on the technology itself, and you start competing on the specific problem you are solving. You stop competing horizontally, saying things like, we use AI to automate all businesses, and you start building vertically. A vertical AI company says, we help independent accounting firms automate one specific agonizingly painful workflow. It sounds smaller, right? But instead of building a shallow, generic tool for everyone, you build with an extraordinary, razor-sharp level of detail.
Let's take property management as an example. Because you only focus on them, you learn exactly what they do every single day. You discover that clunky, 15-year-old legacy software they are somehow still forced to use. You map out the exact hours their employees waste processing routine tenant maintenance requests. You build custom integrations specifically for the real estate industry. If you do this right, your product evolves way beyond just a simple chatbot. It becomes this intricate, specialized engine built around their daily reality. You become flawlessly good at one thing.
Section 3. Inside a micromonopoly. Building the moat.
And that deep, vertical integration leads directly to arguably the most exciting concept in this whole explainer, the micromonopoly. Now, to be clear, this isn't a legal monopoly dominating the global tech industry. It's a small company holding an absolute iron grip on a very, very small market.
It's a business that becomes functionally impossible to compete with inside its specific niche.
Building this defensive moat happens in stages. First, you target a narrow niche. You win a few dozen customers, maybe a few hundred. As they use your product, you start uncovering these unusual edge cases that a generic AI would completely miss. You collect highly useful proprietary operational data. You build specific integrations that connect right to their banks or their local suppliers. And then, the real magic happens. Your customers literally train their employees around your system. Your software becomes the invisible backbone of their entire operation.
Which brings us to a massively important reality. Let's say a competitor arrives tomorrow. They copy your features. Maybe they even have a sleeker interface or use a slightly faster AI model. Does the customer switch? Usually, no way. Because that customer already has your software wired into their entire business. Their employees know exactly how to use it. Their daily workflows depend on it entirely. So even if a shiny new tool shows up, they rarely switch. Why? Because switching isn't impossible, but it is massively, massively inconvenient. That sheer friction of ripping out an entrenched system, that is the ultimate defensive moat.
Section 4. The AI wrapper trap. The danger of fragility.
However, there is a huge trap here that entrepreneurs and investors absolutely must avoid. Building in this era is really risky if you fall for the AI wrapper. An AI wrapper is just an app that takes a user's prompt, sends it to an underlying AI model, and spits back the answer. Sure, it looks like a real business on the surface, but it's totally hollow. It lacks the core organs, it has no proprietary databases, no deep analytics, no specialized workflows, no heavy industry integrations. If your competitive advantage relies solely on a basic AI model, your business evaporates the second a tech giant adds that exact same feature or the moment those AI models just get cheaper. Your business is fundamentally fragile.
To survive and thrive, you really have to build systems around AI, not just sell AI access. The AI might handle a portion of the process, say drafting a legal brief or summarizing logistics data, but the true value is that the AI is wrapped securely inside databases, analytics, and strict industry rules. Building the software, like we said, that's easier than ever right now. But finding customers, creating real, tangible value, driving deep integrations, and executing on distribution, that is still incredibly hard. And that is exactly where the real, defensible value is built. Which brings us to our final thought. I'll leave you at this to chew on based on everything we've covered. Is the real future of software not about building the next giant, flashy platform for billions of users? Is the biggest AI opportunity actually just solving one incredibly painful problem for one narrow market and becoming so deeply integrated that you are impossible to replace? I really think the true winners of the AI era might just be the ghosts. The quiet, highly specialized companies dominating the hidden corners of the market that nobody else is even watching. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes open for the micromonopolies operating all around us.